The large meeting room fell silent as Commander Jack Stone walked in. 12 pairs of alien eyes followed his every move. Some showed curiosity, others fear, but most showed only cold judgment. Jack stood tall despite his racing heart. He was the only human in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. "The Council will now hear Earth's plea," said Dorn, the leader from Arcturus. His blue skin shimmered under the bright lights. His voice was calm but held no warmth. Jack stepped forward. "Members of the Council, I come asking only for what every spacefaring race deserves: a chance to join you among the stars. Earth has achieved faster than light travel. By your own laws, we qualify for membership." A low murmur spread through the room. Jack knew what they were thinking. Humans had reached the stars too quickly. While other races took thousands of years to develop space travel, humans had done it in mere centuries. "Commander Stone," Dorn said, "we have studied your kind closely." He waved his long, four-fingered hand. A screen appeared in the center of the room, showing images from Earth's history: wars, weapons, fighting. "You are a violent species. You fight even among yourselves." Dorn's voice grew harder. "In just the last 100 years, you have had 2 world wars and countless smaller conflicts." Jack stepped forward. "All young races struggle with violence. Did yours not do the same? We have grown. We have learned." "Have you?" asked a small green alien to Dorn's right. "Your weapons grow more deadly each year. Your population keeps growing. Your need for resources never ends." Jack tried to speak, but Dorn raised his hand for silence. "We have watched how quickly you adapt," Dorn continued. "How easily you learn new technologies. How strongly you fight when threatened." He paused. "You terrify us, Commander." The truth of the moment hit Jack like a physical blow. This was not a hearing. It was a trial. And the verdict had been decided long before he arrived. Dorn's voice became formal. "The Council has voted. Earth will be quarantined within its solar system for the safety of all galactic species." "Quarantined?" Jack's voice rose. "You can't just lock us away. There are human colonies, ships. All humans beyond your system have 1 Earth month to return home," said Dorn. "After that, a barrier will be raised. Any human found outside it will be treated as a threat." Jack's face flushed with anger. "This is wrong. We have rights. This meeting is over," Dorn said simply. The other council members stood and filed out, not meeting Jack's eyes. Jack was left alone in the massive room. His hand shook as he contacted Earth. Director Kate Wilson stared at the message on her screen. Her office at Earth Defense Force headquarters was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. Outside her window, the lights of New Geneva shone in the night. "So, they fear us," she said softly to herself. She had expected this. For 3 years, she had warned the World Council that alien contact might not be friendly. For 3 years, they had called her paranoid. Kate pressed a button on her desk. "General Adams, please come to my office. It's time for diaspora." 10 minutes later, a gray-haired man sat across from her. His uniform was decorated with medals from wars fought only on Earth. Soon, he might earn ones for battles fought among stars. "They're really going through with it?" Adams asked. Kate nodded. "They'll seal the entire system in 30 days. Every human must return home or face death." Adams leaned forward. "Or they could simply disappear." "Exactly." Kate turned her screen to show him a list of ships. "These 300 vessels are ready. Stealth technology, based on what we learned from studying alien craft. The Council doesn't know we have it. And the crews. Volunteers, scientists, soldiers, engineers, our best and brightest. They've been training for months." Adams studied the list. 30,000 people won't rebuild a civilization. "They won't have to," Kate said firmly. "They just need to survive, learn, and grow. Until we can break the barrier. And if we can't break it," Kate's eyes hardened, "then they become our legacy among the stars. Jack Stone's ship landed at Kennedy Spaceport 3 days later. Crowds had gathered, angry and afraid. News of the quarantine had spread fast. Riots had broken out in major cities. For the first time in decades, Earth's nations faced a common threat. As Jack stepped out, the world president was waiting. Her face was grim. "Commander, I'm sorry," she said. "It's not your fault," Jack replied. "They fear what they don't understand. And they don't understand humans at all." They walked toward the waiting car as reporters shouted questions. "Is it true?" the president asked quietly. 30 days until we're cut off." "Yes, they're building some kind of energy barrier at the edge of our solar system. Nothing in, nothing out. Then we need to get our people home." Jack looked at her. "What about Director Wilson's plan?" The president's face showed no surprise that Jack knew about the classified project. "Diaspora proceeds as scheduled. The council will look for official ships, military vessels. They won't notice small, unmarked craft slipping away in the chaos." "How many?" 300 ships, 30,000 people, heading to the far reaches of the galaxy. Jack nodded slowly. "It's not enough." "It's all we have," the president replied. 29 days later, Kate Wilson stood in the Earth Defense Force Command Center. Around her, officers tracked the remaining human ships racing back from distant outposts. "Status of Diaspora?" she asked. General Adams checked his screen. 287 ships away clean. 13 launching tonight. The council hasn't detected any of them. Kate allowed herself a small smile. "And the barrier?" A young officer looked up from her station. "It's forming now, Director. Energy readings are off the charts." On the main screen, a thin blue line began to form around the outer edge of the solar system. The barrier that would become humanity's prison. "Put me through to all diaspora ships," Kate ordered. When the connection was ready, she spoke clearly and calmly. "This is Director Wilson to all diaspora vessels. The barrier is closing. Earth will soon be cut off. You carry the free future of humanity with you." She paused. "We do not know when, or if, we will speak again. But know this, Earth will never stop fighting to rejoin you. Until that day, survive. Learn. Grow. The stars were meant to be ours, and one day, they will be." As she finished, the barrier completed its circuit around the solar system. Earth was officially exiled. In the silence that followed, General Adams stood beside her. "What now?" he asked. Kate turned to him, her eyes hard with determination. Now we start planning how to break out." 20 years had passed since the day Earth was locked away behind the energy barrier. 20 years since the Galactic Council had decided humans were too dangerous to walk among the stars. They were wrong. On the frozen planet called Terminus, Tom Reed walked across ice that would crack the bones of most alien species. The temperature was 80 degrees below zero. The air so thin that any of the council races would die in minutes. But Tom was human, and humans adapted. "Mining Team 3 reports another rich vein, sir," said his assistant through the radio in his helmet. Tom smiled. "Tell them good work. We'll start processing tonight." He looked up at the strange stars overhead. This world was far from major trade routes, chosen because no one else wanted it. The council races evolved on comfortable planets with ideal conditions. They never learned to thrive in harsh places. That was their mistake. Tom's mining operation pulled rare minerals from the ice, minerals that starship engines needed, minerals worth a fortune to the right buyers. "Sir," his assistant called again. "The traders are here early." "I'll be right there," Tom answered. Inside the main dome, 3 aliens waited. They were not council members, but free traders from a species called the Vex. They looked like tall, thin humans with gray skin. They didn't ask questions about where the humans came from. They only cared about business. "Reed," the lead trader said with a nod. "Your last shipment was excellent. We've brought double the usual payment." Tom shook the alien's hand, a custom the Vex had learned to accept. And we have double the usual minerals ready for you. Neither mentioned that these minerals would eventually reach Council worlds. Neither mentioned that the credits paid would help fund other human outposts across the galaxy. Some things were better left unsaid. In the asteroid belt of the Sirius system, Dr. Lisa Moore floated in zero gravity, studying the holographic display before her. Around her, 20 human scientists worked at similar stations. "Try the frequency adjustment again," she ordered. "Increase by 12%. Her team had spent 5 years reverse engineering the barrier technology that imprisoned Earth. Not to break it, not yet, but to understand it. Dr. Moore called a young scientist. "Look at this pattern. It matches the energy signature we recorded from the Council's shields." Lisa pushed herself across the room to examine the data. "Yes," she whispered. "It's the same basic technology." This was the breakthrough they had been waiting for. If the barrier used the same principles as standard Council shields, then perhaps they could find a weakness. Lisa touched the communication panel on her wrist. "Contact all research stations. Priority message, keyword, gateway." We found the connection. Within hours, human scientists across 20 hidden outposts would be sharing data, building on her discovery. The Council thought they had contained humanity. Instead, they had merely scattered the seeds of their own downfall. On the jungle planet Varda, rain poured down on the training grounds as Mike Davis watched his soldiers run the combat course. 50 men and women moved through the mud, carrying weapons adapted from alien designs. "They're getting better," said his second-in-command. Mike nodded. "They need to be. The Krell pirates are getting bolder. Last week, they hit a settlement just 2 systems away. The military base was hidden deep in the jungle. From orbit, it looked like nothing more than local animal activity. But beneath the canopy, 500 humans trained for war. Not to fight the Council, not yet, but to protect the growing network of human settlements. To ensure that humanity's foothold among the stars remained secure. "Sir," a communications officer approached. "We've received a coded message from Sirius Research Station. It's marked Gateway." Mike's heart beat faster. Gateway was the project to someday free Earth. Any news on that front was important. "I'll take it in my office," he said. As he walked through the rain, Mike thought about Earth. He had been only 10 years old when the exile happened. His parents had been scientists selected for the diaspora mission. Sometimes he still dreamed of blue skies and green fields that weren't trying to kill you with poisonous spores. Someday, he thought, someday we'll go home, and we'll bring an army with us. Back on Earth, old Jack Stone sat in his garden, looking up at the night sky. At 82, his hair was white, and his body frail, but his mind remained sharp. The young woman approached. "Grandfather, it's getting cold. You should come inside." Jack shook his head. "Not yet, Mary. I'm waiting." "For what?" He smiled. "For a miracle." Inside the house, Jack's secure communication device chimed. Only 3 people had access to that frequency. Mary helped him to his feet. "What is it?" "Maybe my miracle," he said. In his study, Jack activated the device. It had been built 20 years ago, designed to work through the quantum entanglement principles that even the barrier couldn't stop. A message appeared on the screen. Just a few words, but enough to make tears form in the old man's eyes. "We haven't forgotten. We are coming." Jack sank into his chair. "They're alive," he whispered. "The diaspora worked." Mary looked confused. "Who's alive? What's diaspora?" Jack had never told his family about his role in the secret mission. It had been too dangerous. But now, "Sit down, child," he said. "It's time you learned the truth. Humanity isn't just on Earth anymore. We're out there, among the stars. Hidden. Growing stronger." He pointed to the message, "And someday they'll find a way to bring down the barrier." "The Council would never allow it," Mary said. Jack laughed. "The Council doesn't know humans very well. They think they contained us. Instead, they forced us to become exactly what they feared, a species that could survive anywhere, adapt to anything, and never, ever give up. He looked back at the message. They exiled Earth, thinking they were protecting themselves. But all they did was force humanity to spread among the stars without their knowledge or control. Mary's eyes widened as she understood. How many got out? 30,000, Jack said. On 300 ships. Not many, but humans have done more with less. And now? Jack smiled. Now we wait. We prepare. And when our children among the stars find a way to break the barrier, the Council will learn that exiling Earth was the biggest mistake they ever made. Outside, the stars continued to shine, distant and cold. But somewhere out there, humans looked at those same stars and saw not distant lights, but future homes, future outposts, future battlefields, if necessary. The Council had meant to cage humanity. Instead, they had freed it to become exactly what they feared most, a power that would one day rule the stars. "I'll take it in my office," he said. As he walked through the rain, Mike thought about Earth. He had been only 10 years old when the exile happened. His parents had been scientists selected for the Diaspora mission. Sometimes he still dreamed of blue skies and green fields that weren't trying to kill you with poisonous spores. Someday, he thought, someday we'll go home, and we'll bring an army with us. Back on Earth, old Jack Stone sat in his garden, looking up at the night sky. At 82, his hair was white, and his body frail, but his mind remained sharp. A young woman approached. "Grandfather, it's getting cold. You should come inside." Jack shook his head. "Not yet, Mary. I'm waiting." "For what?" He smiled. "For a miracle." Inside the house, Jack's secure communication device chimed. Only 3 people had access to that frequency. Mary helped him to his feet. "What is it?" "Maybe my miracle," he said. In his study, Jack activated the device. It had been built 20 years ago, designed to work through the quantum entanglement principles that even the barrier couldn't stop. A message appeared on the screen. Just a few words, but enough to make tears form in the old man's eyes. "We haven't forgotten. We are coming." Jack sank into his chair. "They're alive," he whispered. "The Diaspora worked." Mary looked confused. "Who's alive? What's Diaspora?" Jack had never told his family about his role in the secret mission. It had been too dangerous. But now, "Sit down, child," he said. "It's time you learned the truth. Humanity isn't just on Earth anymore. We're out there, among the stars, hidden, growing stronger." He pointed to the message, "And someday they'll find a way to bring down the barrier." "The Council would never allow it," Mary said. Jack laughed. "The Council doesn't know humans very well. They think they contained us. Instead, they forced us to become exactly what they feared, a species that could survive anywhere, adapt to anything, and never, ever give up." He looked back at the message. They exiled Earth, thinking they were protecting themselves. But all they did was force humanity to spread among the stars without their knowledge or control. Mary's eyes widened as she understood. How many got out? 30,000, Jack said. On 300 ships. Not many, but humans have done more with less. And now? Jack smiled. Now we wait. We prepare. And when our children among the stars find a way to break the barrier, the Council will learn that exiling Earth was the biggest mistake they ever made. Outside, the stars continued to shine, distant and cold. But somewhere out there, humans looked at those same stars and saw not distant lights, but future homes, future outposts, future battlefields, if necessary. The Council had meant to cage humanity. Instead, they had freed it to become exactly what they feared most, a power that would one day rule the stars. In the headquarters of Earth Defense, Director Marcus Stone, grandson of Jack Stone, studied the latest reports from the Quantum Communications Network. "The breakthrough is confirmed," he told the world president. "Our ships can now penetrate the barrier technology. The president, a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair, nodded. How long until we can bring down the main barrier? Our scientists estimate 2 years, Marcus replied. But we won't have to. He showed her the reports from their agents throughout the galaxy. The council is falling apart. 3 species are considering leaving. Without unity, they can't maintain the barrier. And our people outside are in position to apply pressure exactly where needed. The president looked at the star map showing human positions throughout the galaxy. Red dots marked hidden bases, outposts, and fleets. There were hundreds of them. 50 years, she said softly. 50 years they've kept us caged. And all that time, we were out there anyway, Marcus finished, growing stronger, learning their weaknesses, making allies. And now, Marcus smiled. Now we reveal ourselves, not as conquerors, but as the power they always feared we would become. In the Arcturus Homeworld Medical Center, the council leader lay dying. The disease had spread to his brain. Around him, the best doctors of his species worked desperately to save him. A doctor approached his bed. "Sir, we've received a treatment from an outer world medical station. It shows promise." "Try it," the leader gasped. The medication flowed into his veins. Within an hour, his fever broke. Within a day, he could stand again. A miracle, he told his advisors. Who created this cure? The doctor hesitated. The data came through several intermediaries, but we've traced its origin. Well, who do we thank for saving our people? The doctor took a deep breath. The genetic markers suggest the treatment was designed by humans. Silence fell over the room. The leader sank back into his chair. "Impossible," he whispered. "The humans are trapped on Earth." "Apparently not all of them," the doctor said. "And sir, according to our analysis, they've had this treatment for over 200 years. They could have shared it decades ago." The leader looked out the window at his city, where thousands of his people were now recovering thanks to human medicine. "Why would they help us?" he asked, "after what we did?" No one had an answer. But in that moment, the first seed of doubt was planted in the heart of the council's strongest anti-human voice. Perhaps they had been wrong about humanity all along. And if they were wrong about that, what else had they misjudged? 100 years had passed since Earth's exile. 100 years of planning, waiting, and working from the shadows. Now, the time had come for humanity to step into the light. In the great council hall, the meeting was not going well. Only 7 of the 12 founding species were present. Empty seats showed where former members had once sat. "Proxima has officially withdrawn from the council," announced the chairman, his voice echoing in the half-empty chamber. "They cite unfair trade practices and lack of protection for their outer colonies." Murmurs spread through the remaining delegates. This was the 4th species to leave in the past year. The once mighty Galactic Council was crumbling. None of them knew the truth. None of them realized that humans had carefully planned this moment for decades. Outside the council hall, Ambassador Vaz of Proxima removed his ceremonial robes for the last time. In his private ship, he activated a secure communication device. "This is Cooper," he said, using his real name for the first time in 20 years. "Proxima withdrawal complete. Moving to Phase 4. James Cooper looked at himself in the mirror as he carefully removed his alien disguise. The face that looked back at him was human, older than he remembered, lined with the strain of living a double life for so long. Was it worth it? He asked his reflection. The answer came in the form of a message on his screen. "Earth awaits your return, hero of the diaspora." James smiled. Yes, it had been worth every difficult day. On the council homeworld, an emergency session had been called. The remaining members gathered to discuss the crisis. "Without Proxima's fleet, we cannot patrol the eastern sectors," said one member. "Without Betelgeuse's resources, we cannot maintain the Earth barrier at full strength," said another. The Arcturus leader, grandson of Dorn, looked troubled. Perhaps Perhaps we should reconsider the Earth quarantine. It has been a century. Humans may have changed. Changed, said another delegate with a laugh. Surely you jest. Humans are dangerous. The barrier stays. I am not so sure anymore, the Arcturus leader replied. They saved our species from extinction when they could have let us die. Is that the action of a dangerous race? Before anyone could answer, the chamber's main screen activated without warning. On it appeared a human face, a woman in her 40s with dark hair and determined eyes. Greetings, council members, she said. I am Director Helen Foster of the Human Diplomatic Corps. Shock rippled through the chamber. For a moment, no one spoke. This is impossible, the chairman finally said. Humans are contained on Earth. Helen smiled. Are we? The screen split to show dozens of locations across the galaxy. On each one, humans worked openly alongside aliens. Human ships flew through space. Human cities thrived on distant worlds. What you see is real, Helen continued. While you thought us safely caged on Earth, 30,000 of us escaped before the barrier closed. For a century, we have lived among the stars, hidden but free. Impossible, the chairman repeated. We would have known. Would you? Helen asked. You never bothered to learn about us, about our adaptability, our determination. You saw only our capacity for violence, not our capacity for survival. The Arcturus leader leaned forward. What do you want from us? Recognition, Helen replied simply. The barrier around Earth must come down. Humanity must be acknowledged as a free species with the right to travel the stars. Those are our terms. And if we refuse? Asked the chairman. The screen changed again, showing human warships, hundreds of them, emerging from hidden bases throughout the galaxy. We would prefer peace, Helen said, but we are prepared for the alternative. The transmission ended, leaving the council in stunned silence. In his command center on Earth, Director Marcus Stone watched the reaction to Helen's message spread across the galactic communication networks. Proxima has publicly announced support for humanity, reported his aide. Betelgeuse as well, added another. And 3 non-council species are offering military alliance. Marcus nodded. The plan was working perfectly. For decades, humans had built relationships with races who felt oppressed by council rule. Now those friendships were paying off. What about the barrier? He asked. His chief engineer pointed to a display showing the great energy field surrounding Earth's solar system. Power fluctuations are increasing. Without full council support, they can't maintain it at full strength. And our breakthrough technology. Ready, sir. We can punch through at any time. Marcus stood and looked at the vast map of the galaxy on the main screen. Red dots showed human positions, thousands of them, spread across hundreds of star systems. Send the order, he said. Operation Homecoming begins now. On the edge of Earth's solar system, a fleet of 100 human ships approached the barrier. They were the newest vessels in Earth's defense force, built during the long years of exile. Captain Laura Reed, great-granddaughter of Tom Reed from the frozen mining colony, stood on the bridge of the flagship Freedom. All ships report ready, Captain, said her first officer. Laura nodded. Activate the phase shields. Around each ship, a special energy field formed, the result of 50 years of research into the barrier technology. Forward, slow speed, Laura ordered. The fleet moved toward the shimmering wall that had imprisoned Earth for a century. In past attempts, ships had bounced off or been destroyed. This time would be different. The Freedom touched the barrier. For a moment, the ship shuddered. Then, like a hand passing through water, it pushed through. We're through, shouted the navigation officer. One by one, the entire fleet passed the barrier. For the first time in 100 years, ships from Earth had left their solar system. But they weren't going outward. They were going home. Laura opened a channel to all ships. Set course for the rendezvous point. Today, we meet our lost brothers and sisters. The fleet accelerated to faster-than-light speed, heading for a secret location where the Diaspora fleet waited. Behind them, the barrier flickered and weakened. Without full Council support, it was failing. Within days, it would collapse completely. Earth's long exile was coming to an end. In the Council Hall, emergency alarms sounded. "The barrier has been breached," reported a technician. "Earth ships have broken through." The chairman looked pale. "Impossible. The technology is beyond them." The Arcturus leader laughed bitterly. "Is it? We've underestimated them at every turn. We thought we were containing a dangerous animal, but instead we caged a growing power and gave it 100 years to plan our downfall." He rose from his seat. "I move that we accept the human terms before this situation deteriorates further." "Accept. Surrender to humans." The chairman was outraged. "Not surrender," the Arcturus leader corrected. "Recognition. They've earned their place among the stars, not through conquest, but through perseverance. Perhaps it's time we learned from them, instead of fearing them." Around the table, heads began to nod in agreement. The council that had once exiled humanity was about to welcome them back, not out of kindness, but out of necessity. The stars, it seemed, now belonged to all. 120 years after Earth's exile, a day of history arrived. Admiral Robert Stone, great-grandson of Jack Stone, stood on the bridge of the Earth Ascendant. The massive ship approached the Council homeworld with a fleet of 50 vessels behind it. This was not a war fleet. This was a diplomatic mission, though one backed by the full might of humanity's now revealed power. "We're being hailed," said his communications officer. Robert nodded. On screen, the face of the Council chairman appeared. "Admiral Stone, you are cleared to approach. The Council awaits your arrival." "Thank you, Chairman. We come in peace." The words were simple, but the meaning behind them was not. For over a century, the Council had feared human violence. Now, humans were offering peace instead, from a position of strength. As the Earth Ascendant moved into orbit, Robert looked at his crew. They were not just humans. His ship carried representatives from 15 species, some former Council members, others who had never been allowed to join. "This is more than just Earth's victory," he told them. "This is a new beginning for the galaxy." The Council chamber looked different than it had when Jack Stone stood there over a century before. The once grand room now seemed smaller, less impressive. The 12 seats of the founding members were reduced to 7. Robert Stone walked in with his delegation. He wore a simple blue uniform with Earth's new symbol, a planet with stars spreading out from it like seeds. "Admiral Stone," the chairman said, "the Council recognizes the representative of Earth." Robert stepped forward. "I bring terms from the United People of Earth and our allies throughout the galaxy." He activated a holographic display. Above the Council table appeared a document titled The Galactic Accord. "First, the barrier around Earth's solar system will be permanently deactivated," Robert said. The Council members nodded. With the barrier already failing and human ships able to pass through it anyway, this was just a formality. "Second, humanity will be recognized as a full member of galactic society, with all rights and privileges." Again, the Council members nodded. This too was expected. "Third," Robert continued, "reparations will be paid to Earth for 120 years of forced isolation." This caused murmurs among the Council. The Arcturus leader spoke up. "What form would these reparations take?" "Knowledge," Robert replied. "Access to the Council's scientific and historical archives. Nothing more." The Council members looked surprised. They had expected demands for territory, resources, or money. "Fourth, and finally," Robert said, "the Galactic Council will be reformed into a Galactic Congress, where all spacefaring species have equal voice, not just the founding 12. Now the Council chamber erupted in protest. The chairman banged his gavel for order. "This is outrageous," said one member. "The Council has maintained order for 10,000 years." "Has it?" Robert asked calmly. 4 of your founding members have left. Dozens of species live under rules they had no part in making. Is that your definition of order? Before the chairman could respond, Robert activated another holographic display. This one showed the true extent of human influence across the galaxy. Trade routes, defense systems, communication networks, all had human connections. We could have used this influence to destroy the Council, Robert said. Instead, we ask only for reform. The Arcturus leader stood. The human terms are fair, more than fair, considering what we did to them. The chairman looked around the room, seeing the changing mood. You planned this all along, didn't you? Even before the exile. Robert shook his head. No, we planned to survive, to thrive. The rest, we learned from you. From us. The chairman seemed confused. Yes, you taught us that power concentrated in few hands leads to fear and injustice. So we built something different, partnerships based on mutual benefit, not dominance. He gestured to his diverse crew. That's why we're here with allies, not alone. That's why our terms speak of reform, not revenge. As if on cue, ships appeared on the orbital display, vessels from 24 non-council civilizations, positioning themselves alongside the human fleet. The chairman looked at the display, then back at Robert. It seems we have no choice. There is always a choice, Robert replied. Choose cooperation. Choose progress. Choose to build something better than what came before. After a long moment, the chairman nodded. The Council will accept Earth's terms. 3 days later, the energy barrier around Earth's solar system was officially deactivated. The ceremony was broadcast to thousands of worlds across the galaxy. On Earth, people gathered in cities and towns to watch the sky. For generations, they had seen the faint blue glow at night, a constant reminder of their prison. Now, it faded away forever. Director Marcus Stone stood with the world president on a platform in New Geneva. Above them, the barrier dissolved like mist in morning sunlight. A historic day, the president said. Marcus nodded. My great-grandfather would have been proud. Jack Stone, the president said. The man who started it all. He never gave up hope, Marcus replied. None of us did. In orbit, the first ships from the Diaspora fleet entered Earth's atmosphere. After more than a century, the scattered children of Earth were coming home. They brought with them gifts of knowledge, technology, and friendship from across the galaxy. They brought stories of worlds humans on Earth had only dreamed about. Most importantly, they brought proof that humanity had earned its place among the stars. 1 year later, the first meeting of the new Galactic Congress was held on a neutral world. Representatives from 57 spacefaring civilizations attended, including Earth. Admiral Robert Stone, now serving as Earth's delegate, took his seat among them. It was not at the head of the table. It was not in a position of special power. It was simply one seat among equals, exactly as it should be. The Congress's first act was to establish the Free Travel Accord, ensuring that no species would ever again be forcibly confined to their home system. As Robert looked around the room at the diverse beings working together, he thought about the long journey that had brought humanity to this moment. The Council had exiled Earth out of fear of human adaptability, human determination, human strength. They had fought to contain a dangerous species. Instead, they had forced humanity to become something greater than it might have been otherwise. Not conquerors, but survivors. Not rulers, but partners. Not feared, but respected. The irony, Robert said to himself, is that in trying to cage us, they set us free. A delegate from a non-human world overheard him. Your people have an interesting saying. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Robert smiled. Yes, and the Council didn't kill us. No, agreed the alien. Instead, they made you strong enough to change the galaxy. Outside the Congress Hall, ships from dozens of worlds filled the sky, a testament to a new era of cooperation. Among them flew vessels bearing Earth's symbol, a planet with stars spreading outward like seeds. Seeds that had taken root across the galaxy and grown into something magnificent. They had exiled Earth. Now humanity ruled the stars, not through fear or dominance, but through the very qualities the Council had once feared: adaptability, determination, and the unwavering belief that the stars belonged to all.